Hey everyone, Yasho here. Hope you're all doing well. Happy New Year's or happy almost New Year's, depending on when you're watching this. As the title suggests, I'm going to be talking about New Year's resolutions and why they typically fail. Because it's very common, and I'm sure you've done this dance before where you wake up and you party too hard the night before New Year's Eve and you're like, oh my freaking head, like I'm going to stop drinking or I'm going to cut back on drinking, I need to go for a run. You always see people like the New Year's are running more, the gym memberships go up, people start eating healthier, they got this resolution, they're going to get fit, they're going to quit their job, they're going to go on vacation, they're going to do all the things they wanted to do, I'm going to run, I'm going to feel good, and then a few weeks in, a month in, things start to dip and you kind of go back to your old ways, and that vacation you were gonna take all of a sudden is like, well, I think in August is the time, and then August comes around and well, I'm gonna wait till whatever, and it just, you push back. And of course there's a lot of obvious reasons why this happens, so I want to talk about them, but also I've seen something that isn't really spoken about that I think is the number one most important thing when it comes to actually making changes in your life. So first off, New Year's resolutions. It seems like a good idea. It's like this holiday, there's symbolism in it, the year is passing by. It seems like everybody cannot wait for 2020. Every single person I'm talking to is like, 2019 was rough, I cannot wait for 2020, I just want it to be over so I can start the new, like, I don't know about you, but I can't wait to kind of wipe the slate clean and start over. And symbolically that feels like a good thing. Some people might blame it on the stars or planetary shifts, or my moon wasn't in season, or whatever it was. Other people may have had more physical, emotional, whatever reasons were. It could also be because the holidays get really rough and it seems like there's no out, and then finally New Year's happens and you're like, holidays are over, I get to actually just go live my life. And so it feels like this kind of clean slate. Now, kind of like diets, the reason diets don't work is because people, they want to make a change, they want to lose weight. When you go on a diet, usually you want to lose weight and or get healthy. So it seems obvious, okay, there's all these different diets, there's all these things to choose from. I'm going to pick this one and I'm going to lose this much weight in 30 days, and then you cut out all the things you don't want, no more sweets, and get the donuts out of here and cut away the bacon, and you're doing great and you're pushing through it and willpowering through it, everything's going well. But then you break, or then the diet ends, and all of a sudden all those things start creeping back in. The minute bacon touches your lips, it's like, give me bacon. Because when we cut out things and we don't actually have a real connection as to why, we end up like overboarding. And a lot of people actually, when they go on diets, I think there's a statistic, but it's like the majority of people that go on diets end up gaining as all the way back, if not more weight after, because you restrict yourself so much that when you're finally not restricted, it's just like, gimme, go wow, right? So I think the obvious reason that, and what's talked about a lot with resolutions not working, is that people restrict themselves. They do things that are so outrageous. They start running and working out every single day because it feels like that's what they need to do. But then eventually they break because they just haven't made the small incremental changes to actually implement what is necessary. And listen, I'm not here to say if a New Year's resolution, if that works for you and it's worked really well, and if you are someone who can just wake up a day after a hangover and get a gym membership and start working out and change your life, that's great. But typically it actually takes time. So the kind of common understanding of this is that it takes a lot of time to actually make changes in your life. And if you think that just like by throwing it all away, you're going to have this whole big life change and yes, I'm going to get on it, well, you might not be surprised to find that in a month or so, you're going to go back to your old ways. So first off, just a quick little quip in here. If you do know, I am launching a mentorship program and it starts January 11th. You can click the link below to check it out. And basically it's going to be an online group. We're going to get together once a month, and there's also going to be videos. We're going to get together and do video chats and talk, and I'm just going to be there to help guide you through your life. So maybe you're someone who's struggling and you want to have a New Year's resolution, you want to make change, but you need the support and accountability to actually do it and have someone that's been there, because I've been there. I've had, I've been all kinds of things in the past, and I've made huge changes, and I've had a lot of success and create amazing relationships in my life and get to do whatever I want and travel the world and have a lot of fun. So if you're interested in that, click the link below. We'll do video chats every month. We're gonna have life work and accountability and all kinds of stuff. It's gonna be freaking epic. If you're unsure about it, you can shoot me an email. All the details are below. We'll talk about it. We'll have fun together. I will help you get to where you want to go, because I'm here to do that. That's really like what's become very clear as my life has shifted in such a big way. I make these videos for you to help you get more clear in your life. So that brings me to this next point. So yes, the common reason people say that New Year's resolutions don't work is because you can't just expect to make one decision and choose, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and then cut out the things you don't like, and you can't expect them to not creep back in your life, because it takes a long time and small, tiny changes. It's like your hair growing out. You might not notice your hair's growing out, but if you haven't seen someone in 2 months, they might see you and say, wow, your hair's changed. You know, you don't see the really important small shifts in your life, you don't see them. And so that is what people talk about a lot, and I think that is a huge piece of this. And so while I'm not trying to devalue or decredit that, because I think it is valuable, I think there's another piece that people don't speak about that's really, really like the number one piece. And that is, that is that how can you expect to actually make the proper changes if you don't really know and understand who you are? Think about that. I'm gonna say that again. How can you expect to make the necessary changes in your life that you need if you don't really know who you are? So what's interesting, I'm going to talk a little bit about free will. There's this concept of, you know, is it destiny or predetermined destiny, free will, what do we have? But whatever way you see it, let's say you assume that you have some sort of free will. Let's say you assume that you get to go around your life, make the choices that you want, and it's like, you know, I'm hungry, do I want chicken or beef? You know, I'm interested in this field, do I want to have this job or that job, do I want to live here or there? It seems like we have these choices that we get to make all the time, and that they're choices that we actually get to choose, especially if you believe in free will. However, if you don't really know who you are, chances are that the choices that you're making, especially the important ones like job, health, fitness, friends, where you want to live, all the big choices, even if it seems like they're being made from you, if you don't really know who you are, you're probably not making those choices, at least not consciously, because chances are fear and conditioning and pressure and all these things are actually the things that are choosing for you. So I know that might seem kind of weird, because you're like, well, what do you mean? I get to make choices myself. I get to choose these things every day. The thing is, if you're being guided by something that isn't really you, if you have a parent that spent their whole life telling you need to do certain things out of practicality and you believe them, or yeah, you know, this is a get this job, don't do the thing that you love because it's really hard to make money doing that. Like my parents told me originally when I was, you know, wanting to be in a band, they said, don't do that, you're not going to make money, and you should stick with your schooling. And I chose not to. I'm grateful I did, but I could have listened to them and I could have fed into the fears that they had and the ideas they had and not actually gone out and lived my life. So if you're watching this video, chances are maybe you haven't lived your life to the fullest potential because you've believed that you've needed to do something. Even if in your mind you didn't, there's something that's holding you back. And that's a big piece. You might rationally say, hey, you know what? Like, I need to make these choices, I need to eat better, I need to do all these things. However, if something deeper is guiding you, if these fears are guiding you and pushing you to want, say food is a great example. Oftentimes we have these like kind of traumatic experiences in our life that make us eat certain things, or we've watched certain commercials and we've been led to believe that we need to eat certain things because they're good. You know, we have this sort of like sugary addiction. So we think, you know, we're choosing the donut because we want it, but actually we have this addiction to the sugar. We have this addiction to the feeling that we have when we're struggling, when we're stressed. It's like, I'm just gonna go eat a donut and stuff my face and eat my feelings. So we're not actually making the choice to really eat that donut. So how can we really make a choice to get better, to change our life, to actually make these gigantic shifts, to do good things? Well, the first way is to get to actually know who you actually are. And to do that, you need to start looking at every single piece of yourself. This is where I always say journaling is a huge way to do this. So one thing I like to do for the New Year's is I like to journal about, of course, the things that I want to achieve in the upcoming year, what I'm excited about, but also all the things that I achieved the year before. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, I had a promotion, I made $1 million. It can be anything. If you made a new friend, if there's something you're excited about, or you started to feel better about yourself, or you know, you did more writing, whatever the thing is, I write this whole list, and by looking at it, I get to see all of the changes I've made, because you can accomplish a lot and you can grow a lot in a year. But if you're just looking at yourself now and you're in a growth mindset, you're probably not going to see the change. It is the easiest thing to look at yourself in this moment and to just be like, well, I'm not where I want to be. It's like, well, you know, because all you can think about is just some of the surface level things. It's like, well, I need to get here, and our mind in the present seems to always want to think about the future and what we need to grow and change. So first off, journaling about all the things you've already accomplished or that has already shifted in your life can kind of blow your freaking mind. However, you can do that, and that's a great little tool to have, but a more important tool is to start looking at who you are. Start writing down the things that you want to achieve that you haven't achieved, and also start writing it down why. So let's say, you know, you want to get a new job. Start writing down why. right? So, okay, you're gonna say, okay, I really, I'm not happy where I'm at right now. I have this job, I don't like it, but I wanna make a change. I know I wanna make a change, so I wanna write a new resume, and I wanna tell my boss I'm giving him 2 weeks and just like go for it. Well, within that, there's so many things that probably bring up a lot of fears or insecurities. Well, I have money, that I need to consider, and this job actually pays really well, so I feel comfortable, or it pays me just enough, so I feel comfortable, and I'd be much happier doing this thing. However, I've got this whole long list of stuff. But when you start to dissect the self, you might start to realize that, okay, maybe it's true. Maybe you don't have enough money right now saved up to just quit your job and go travel the world, or whatever the thing might be. But what is the cost? What is the cost of staying in that job and staying in fear and staying in scarcity? Because when you are aligned with who you are and when you're doing the things that you love, life tends to work out in a really amazing, mysterious way. When you're living in kind of the matrix and you're living in like the world of practicality, things are all designed around fear and scarcity, and they're keeping you stuck because you need things. When you're not happy in your job, you need more things, so you need to buy more things. You need to live in a certain area and pay a certain amount of rent, and you need to go out more, and drink more and do all these things. But when you're actually doing what you love, and I'll talk more about this in more of a financial kind of standpoint video, when you're doing what you love, you tend to strip back the things that don't matter. Sometimes when I was my happiest, I was completely broke. I had just enough to survive and do the things that I love, and just enough. I couldn't afford to go on vacations or, go dining at fancy restaurants or go to bars, but I didn't need those things because I had what I needed. So that is something that I truly believe, and I've seen over time, that when you're aligned with the things that you need to do in the world, you actually have exactly what you need. So I don't want to get too far off tangent. The video can be about whatever it needs to be, but the point is, if you want to make changes in your life, they are absolutely possible. They're available to you, and they can be awesome. But the first thing you need to do is really get to know yourself, and do that by journaling. Do that by looking at who you think you are and what are the things that are holding you back. Why haven't you quit your job yet, even though you're not happy? Okay, well, I have fear. All those things are fear that can be figured out. I promise you. If it's money thing, if it's I don't think there's a better job out there, it's like you need to trust yourself. You need to invest in yourself, because the most important thing that you can do is invest in and trust yourself. Know that when you're aligned with doing the things that you want, that everything will make sense. And when you look at the false self, you'll see that you've constructed this whole life that isn't really the real you. That's why I say you need to actually get to know who you actually are. Most people don't really know who they are outside of all the conditioned fears and responses that guide them. And we think we know who we are, but we don't. So when we actually look at this person that we've created, it's like, whoa, okay. And you can kind of step back. You can write about who you are, but you can also step back and look at it, because you don't need to be too attached to that person. I've done videos about self and self-doubt, and the reason we have self-doubt isn't because we're this person that doubts. It's because we have this false version of ourselves that we've created, that we think is real, that we give so much weight to. It's the same with depression. We get depressed because we think we're just this sad person, but usually it's because we're playing this character that actually doesn't serve us anymore, so our body gets tired and heavy. So when you look at this false version of yourself and you step back, okay, wow, that's who I am. I'm this person that believes XYZ. I'm someone that thinks I need to have this kind of job, or I need to have these types of friends to make me happy, and I'm not happy. So chances are all those things that crafted this life for you, if you're not happy, don't exist. And they're not really real. And they seem really solid and really real, and it's scary to let them go, but they're not really serving you. Maybe you need to start kind of distancing yourself from them one-on-one. And it can be a quick, for some people it's a clean cut. I'm just gonna sell all my stuff and get the hell out of here. Other people, it's a slower process. Whatever process works for you, totally cool. That being said, you need to start really getting a sense of who you actually are, and then your life will start to open up. And just by digging every day, by writing, seeing the different layers, peeling back the layers of the false self, what happens is when you actually kind of peel back all the layers of this falseness, something much greater comes through that starts to guide you. When you're aligned with the universe, and this might sound kind of weird and out there, but it's just actually very basic vibrational, energetic, science, whatever you want to call it, science or all these things. It's just based on vibration. But when you're aligned with your actual internal vibration, when you're not fighting it, it's like you're in a river and you're floating down and everything makes sense. Whereas if you're trying to swim upstream, you're going to be fighting the river. So there's a vibration of life that's always happening, and there's a higher universal guidance that is always kind of showing you the right direction to go in your life. And if you're trying to fight it, it's only going to be able to do so much to keep you in line. And it will give you little signs. And the universe has a great way of being like, hey buddy, you might want to check that out. But if you keep missing it, or if you keep fighting it, you'll stay in your fear, you'll stay in your pain, you'll stay in your trauma. just long enough to keep this little cycle of this false you going. But when you actually get to know who you are, that's when you make the changes. So when it comes to something like New Year's resolution, I don't worry about New Year's resolution. I haven't had a New Year's resolution in so freaking long. What I care about is helping other people make these shifts in their lives, because I know the value. That's why I launched this mentorship program, because I know what it was like when I first kind of woke up from the matrix and couldn't make sense of anything. I knew something was different. I knew life wasn't as I was always told it to be, but I felt so alone because I'm like, well, something isn't right here. And I know that there's this whole false world of bullcrap going on, and that I don't want to ever live in that world again, but I also don't know who to talk to or how to get guidance. And so that's why I launched this mentorship program, because I've been living in this space for a long time, and I'm just here to help guide you. I'm not above you, or I'm not special or anything like that. I'm just this vessel to kind of help and share. So again, you can click the link below if you want to learn more about it. Regardless, remember, New Year's resolutions, they can be valuable, and if you want to make one, that's great, but you should make resolutions every day to continue to change and to see who you are. And over time, whoa, I'm gonna step on something. I'm like, okay. Oh, I just fell in my face. My hair's out of control. Over time, when you make these changes in your life, everything that you were looking for in this moment will actually be there. But don't think that it's just going to happen one night and then, oh, well, it doesn't happen. You know, it's another piece. People have a New Year's resolution, and when they fail the resolution, they just give it up. This isn't about fail. There is no failing. There's no right and wrong and good and bad in this space of personal growth. When you get to look at yourself and know who you truly are, everything else follows suit. So get to understand yourself, your actual desires, not from fear, not from what other people told you, but what actually means something to you. Even if you don't know, you might say, I don't know. That's okay. Just look at what's false, what's driving you right now that's not real, that's not serving you. Start to look at it, and by looking at it, we examine it, we actually burn it down, we let it go, and something much greater comes through. It's been lovely chatting with y'all. Peace.